Arnold Rowland was here with his wife on Houston Street in the crowd waiting for the motorcade. A few minutes before it arrived, Rowland told the Warren Commission he noticed an elderly Negro man up in the window where you are now, where Oswald is supposed to have fired from. But he told the Commission, and a few days ago repeated his story for us here, of seeing a gunman lurking in another window entirely.
I just looking around and we noticed a man up in the window, and I remarked to my wife, tried to point him out, and remarked that he must be a security guard, Secret Service agent.
So the window then that you're referring to is on the opposite end of the building from where the main entrance to the building is?
Yes, it is on the other side of the building. And he had a rifle. It looked like a high-powered rifle because it had a scope which looked in relation to the size of the rifle to be a big
and not very far from the Rowlands was Mrs. Carolyn Walther. Mrs. Walther says that she saw two men with a gun in the book depository.
I looked at this building and I saw this man with the gun, and there was another man standing to his right, and I could not see all of this man, and I couldn't see his face. And the other man was holding a short gun. It wasn't as long as a rifle. And he was holding it pointed down, and he was kneeling in the window or sitting. His arms were on the window, and he was holding the gun in a downward position, and he was looking downward.
About what floor would you say these two men were on that you saw in the window?
The first statement that I made, I said the man was on the 4th or the 5th floor, and I still feel the same way. He was just about in a window that was just about even with the top of that tree. I thought the man had light hair or brown and was wearing a white shirt. But I explained to the FBI agents that I wasn't sure about that. That was my impression. I'm thinking about it later, that I thought that was the way the man was dressed.
Now, what about this other man who was in the window?
This other man was wearing a brown suit, and that was all I could see was half of this man's body, from his shoulders to his hips.
I heard those shots come off, and they seemed like they was high, and they were directly ahead of me. And as I tried to figure out where they came from, and the building that I had in mind was directly ahead of me, and that was the Texas Book Depository building. As I entered the building there, I asked some of the people that were standing around there where the stairs or elevator was. And there was a man who spoke up and said he was the building manager and he'd show me.
I realized that he didn't know the layout of the building, so I ran in with him. It was just a matter of seconds after the third shot, and we ran across the shipping room floor, stopped at the elevators.
And we couldn't get that service elevator working, and he said, well, we use the stairs. And he turned around and immediately went up the stairs.
We ran on up the first flight to the second floor, and the officer looked in the snack bar adjacent to our office.
And I kind of looked off to the right over there through a doorway and saw an image of a man walking away through that doorway. And when I got to the doorway, he was on down there a little bit, and I hollered at him and asked him to come back.
The officer with me had a gun in his hand, and he threw the gun toward the middle of Oswald, and he looked probably a little startled, like anybody else would if you just put a gun in his stomach all at once, which I thought was natural. But
I turned around and asked him if the man worked for him and if he knew him. And he said, yes, says he works for me, and I know him. And at that time, the man never did say anything. I never did say anything further to him. I turned around and went on up the stairs to the third floor.
And this man that you saw later turned out to be Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yes, sir, he did.
Well, he was standing about the middle way of the building on the 6th floor.
What was he doing there?
Well, he was just standing there looking with his orders in his hand.
And what did you say to him?
I said, say, fella, it's lunchtime. You going downstairs? And he said, no. Said, close the gates on the elevator when you get down. Well, I was, kind of excited, wanted to see the parade, so when I got downstairs, I really forgot it. I just rushed on off and went on out to lunch.
This would be about what time?
Well, about 1 or 2 minutes after 12.